Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Global Book Network, the show where we sit down with authors who have provocative stories to tell. My name is Lobo Boyce, and I, for one, am excited for my guest to be on this show today because I'm always thinking about how can we express the challenges that we have to overcome, and well, a lot of the characters in this book overcame some challenges. Please welcome the author of Diary of an Army Wife, Ms. Brenda Williams, to the show. How's it going, Brenda? How's life?
I am doing fine. Life is good. I am all the things of greatness right now.
Right, I can hear you. When you have that glow after writing a book, it's kind of like the struggles is over. Now it gets time to talk about it and just be about what you made. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to go this far. I just wrote the book just to get some stuff off my chest and then just left it at that and went on with my life. I didn't know it was going to make such a big impact.
Yeah. Well, that's actually my first question. What was the moment behind the moment behind the moment when you said, you know what these experiences are in my head right now, I'm gonna make it to a book, albeit one that's been a little bit more dramatic. But when did you decide to write the book?
I've been wanting to write that book for a long time, but because life was lifing, I couldn't really get to it. But I think because life was lifing, it gave me more stuff to add to the book. And some of the stuff is also stories that I've heard from other people, and I kind of just linked my situations with theirs and just put it all in this book.
Yeah. Was it a particular like day where you say, you know what, life, you will keep on life in the background. I'm gonna start this, or was it kind of like a gradual, still a couple minutes here in your day when you have some downtime, write a chapter? Like, how did everything come together?
So I have to be in the mood to write, and that's probably why it took me uh, a couple years to try. But once I sat down and like, okay, I'm really going to do this, it took me about 3 months to write the whole actual book.
Yeah. The 3 months, man. That's pretty quick. My
Yeah,
second book took me 5 years. So I
yeah,
respect that.
it's like once you get in the mood, once I'm in the mood, and that's all that I'm concentrating on is tunnel vision, and I can write all day.
Let's get right into the narrative of the book. The world, the military, especially in this country, in the United States, it's kind of
Mhm.
put on a pedestal. I mean, for those on the outside looking in, those who've gone through the system that says there's a lot more things that are not really bubbling to the surface. So I want to ask you this from a creative standpoint, is navigating the nuances of what actually like happens versus what people think happens and some of the more salacious parts. How did you go through that to make sure you trail a truthful through line throughout the chapters?
Um, so with a lot of the stuff, like I said, is really based on some of the circumstances that I went through. A lot of people think, as you were saying, that we're up on a pedestal. The military, is up on the pedestal. They don't really do anything. They're perfect and stuff. But that's what you see on the outside, and that's what you see with the actual soldier that's in the military. You never
Mhm.
see what happens behind the scenes. The wife or the husband that's staying back and have to, be strong for however long that the person is deployed and keeping things together if you got kids and stuff like that. And then have to, when they come back, deal with all the things that they dealt with when they were deployed. And now you got to
Yeah.
sometimes suffer the wrath.
Well, talk to me about crafting characters like Michelle. I mean, you have someone from scratch and you put her through the ringer. Like you don't make it easy for anybody. So, what was that like crafting someone who's gone through those experiences and how you decide to put challenges in front of her?
So this book is kind of loosely, off my life, based on my life. So the stories that you have in there is what I've gone through,
Hmm.
and the person is based off of me. That's how I got Michelle, because it's my middle name.
Okay.
So it didn't take me long to come with a name, and because I experienced everything, that's why it didn't take me long to write this book.
Okay. So now I have to ask you then. Like then if you've gone through these or some of these experiences you've gone through,
Mhm.
what was that like? Because I can imagine there are situations of hurt, especially in the cases of
Mhm.
infidelity, but then there might be a pressure to keep up appearances with other army
Yes.
spouses. How did you navigate that part?
Um, a lot of it was things that I was taught that a wife should be in a marriage. No matter what happens, the cheating and all that and everything, you should stay, make things stronger, and try to give it all you got. But my
Mhm.
thing was, what if you don't have anything left?
Right.
And you done went through this so many times, taking back, getting the apology, you have the honeymoon phase, and then it starts all back over. It's like how much longer can you do it?
Yeah.
And that was where I was, as you read through the book. It's just, yeah, it was really tough. There was some high moments, there were definitely some low moments, but it's the inner strength that I had to get through it and find myself, and putting it out on a book really was therapeutic for me.
What would you say the source of your inner strength? Where does that come from?
My faith and my kids, because I had to do something because I had kids, and I
Hmm.
couldn't be running around the house, feeling depressed, lashing out. I even went to drinking. I'm not really a drinker, and I
Okay.
found myself drinking more.
Yeah.
Um, I got to the point sometimes that I just didn't even want to do anything with the kids. I was so down and so hurt. But in order for me to get through, I had to learn how to forgive. And I'm gonna tell you now,
Hmm.
that took a while, a very
Okay.
long time, a
Oh, we're
very
talking
long
about
time,
months, years. Like, how much is a
years,
while? Okay. Okay.
years, years.
Yeah.
And then and the reason why it took years is because every time I looked at my kids, they looked just like their daggone daddy.
Yeah. I heard
And
about that.
it's a constant reminder. But I knew I had to do it for them and had to do it for me. I had to get myself straight first before I can even do anything with them. So I just knew that I had to get out of it.
Yeah, and sorry if I'm drilling down here, but like, how did you do things outside? I know you're faith based, but did you like go on walks? Did you take hobbies? Did you go to support
Oh,
groups? Like,
well,
what
my
was?
my hobby is reading and writing. I even took up crocheting. That's how much stress that I was having. I work out. I do boxing, so that was another thing because there was no way I can put my hands on him again. It did get physical sometimes. So to put that strength somewhere, I had to. Yeah, it was a lot of things I had to do.
Yeah, it sounds like you tried everything because like crochet is the most like laid back hobby, and boxing is not. and,
Yeah.
and, and you was
Yeah,
doing both.
yeah. So it I did all that in order to, put my mind something else, and then I was able, going through all of that, be able to forgive him.
What is the role of seeing your kids grow? Like a lot of times you have this trauma and you're trying whatever you can to shield what you're seeing through your children to make sure they can have their childhood. But a lot of times I've
Mhm.
seen that with other people in that situation, that can have a compounding effect. You're being traumatized the first time, and then it's also the trauma of you not being able to release. Was there any kind of situations where you saw that it might be difficult to like just make sure you can like mitigate those emotions while it was happening, or
Um, it was easy. Um, my youngest child was a baby at the time, so he don't know anything of his dad actually being in the house. So this, dad being separated is all he knows. My oldest at the time, that grew up with dad in the house, once he left, it he didn't really show too much emotions. So I was kind of worried about that. Maybe it was like a shock or something, something like that.
Mhm.
But right now, it's what he has told me is out of sight, out of mind.
there was something I thought was pretty interesting on how you laid out. Michelle's journey through this chapter. It is almost she's like fighting herself. Like a lot of times you can read stories where things happen narratively in sequential order, but it was almost like she goes, I know this is dumb, but I'm doing this. I can't believe I took this. I'm gonna do this ever. Obviously it was intentional, but talk to me about that actually process of experimenting with the inner workings of Michelle's mind while it was happening on the page in front of her.
Um, so a lot of that stuff, when things were happening, to kind of get myself through it, I would think of another place or think of, what my parents would do, what they would do. Got to keep up, like you were saying earlier, appearances. We don't divorce here. We stay together no matter what. And in order for me to get through all of that, I always had to, well, let me think about this, what I could be doing, and what I got this going on over here. He's making me upset, but I got school, I gotta do this and everything. So in order, just like with anybody else, like with mental health, we kind of suppress a lot of the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
uh, kind of get, in denial in order for us to even get through the day. And that's what I did with Michelle most of the time, especially going through that book.
I totally heard what you're saying about like the culture of like you don't get divorced, you stay with it. But at the same time, because I'm from a similar culture too, but like all my cousins who were like that didn't get divorced, but they had second families. Like people still find a way. They still find a way to get out of there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's an old school way of thinking about things.
exactly. And I used to tell him I didn't want to be a statistic. So I was going to make it work no matter what. But like I said, how many times can you go through the same thing? I knew he wasn't going to change, but I kept doing it
Yeah.
anyway because I didn't want to be a statistic. So, doing the same thing and thinking it's going to change is basically saying you're crazy. And that's exactly what Michelle was when she was going through majority of that in the book.
Well, that's interesting because I could totally see your side of the argument. Like, look, I'm going to try to make this work. I don't want to be seen as like another failed
Mhm.
marriage. But when the decision was made to end the relationship, did there were lingering feelings of that? Did you feel as if you were a failure slash a statistic that you had to work through, or was kind of like, no, there was no recourse. My mind's made up. I don't care what people think. I'm going for it.
Um, so because I plan to do a second part to that,
Mm-hmm.
but just with the back, my ex-husband cheated,
Mm-hmm.
and he cheated plenty of times, but this one here, he actually got the woman pregnant. And I always tell people, if it wasn't for the baby, I would have took them back because that's what I was used to doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so since the baby was there, I took that as God telling me, okay, now it's time for you to go. What else more can he do to you? He got a whole nother baby.
Yeah.
And I just went out on faith. I told him he needed to leave, and I struggled. He was paying the bills while I was in school. I had some minimum wage job while I was looking for work, and my rent was $1,400, and I was only getting paid $13.69. But
Wow.
I just knew I couldn't go back. It was going to be the same cycle all over again.
Yeah, you were very unapologetic in just the way you crafted these chapters. You know, you don't pull no punches. Some of the romance or lack thereof sometimes is up there. I mean, I ain't mad. I love the process, but like as an author, like I've struggled with writing passages that cross over into sexual activity or even romance. What's like been your approach to that? Is it something you write the story first and go back to it? Do you like get yourself hyped up to really go into details sometimes? I mean, it could be like, crossing into another whole world there.
Um, well, I did get hyped when it came to those parts.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm just
but
asking.
but some of that stuff is I don't want to be, well, I'm not really embarrassed. Some of the stuff, that's what I did while in the bedroom. So
Hmm.
it didn't really, take a lot trying to figure out what I was going to write. But then it was also stuff that I've seen on TV and other places. And I just kind of mixed it all up. I wanted Michelle to be, you know, also good in the bedroom, and it show her, that not submissive, but dominant when she needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think with a authentic sex scene that people can imagine themselves. Yeah, I did that. I know what she's doing. Yeah, I thought that same thing. I did that to my dude too when he was. Yeah, I get that. I want the imagery to where you can, as you're reading it, you can. Yeah, I can see it. I see
Yeah.
it coming.
And
Yeah,
it's so
and
important to me too, like just reading it, because a lot of times when it comes to like some other book, not comparing your book to anyone else's, but you will see the story of like infidelity. A lot of times it becomes about the sex. I wasn't getting X, so I went out and got Y. So it was kind of cool to see Michelle have her own little skills and the tool belt. You know what I'm saying? This and that. It wasn't just about the mechanics. It wasn't just about the mechanics of sexual relations. So I appreciate that. I was blushing. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm reading this on Sunday now. But I understood it. It was pretty cool. So you had mentioned that you were thinking about writing a sequel, or you are writing a sequel. When did you decide to like put a pause in the story? When did you decide this one here was a natural break when you did decide to start this book?
um, well, one, I started working. I got a better job than the 1369 that I was making.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a break, and then I didn't want to rush it. I see where some authors, they'll put out the first half, and then later on they put out the second half, probably right behind each other. I'm new, so I'm trying to get my name out there. So I want people to see different things that I can do and get them, liking my story. So that way, when I come and do the sequel part, they're already familiar with me, already familiar with the book, and they have more interest in it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's interesting because I always feel like I come in two different camps. Either my first draft is like so short, I have to go back and flesh things out, or I write so much and I go, well, no one's going to read 400,000 words about, I don't know, a shoe or something. So I was kind of interested about your process when you said, no, this is pretty good for a good chapter to stop it. And so I just mean picking the brain there, I'm just
Yeah, a lot of people that have read it, they're so mad at me on how I ended it, and they're waiting on the for me to finish the second.
yeah, well, that's been most of the feedback. Has it been like, wait, the party ends right here? That's a good sign. Oh, I respect that. So talk to me a little bit more about the plans are for this. You said the sequel's coming out. You said you are also developing as a writer. I know you have different plans for other stories as well. Do you see yourself having this become an ongoing saga, or is this kind of like a contained like 2-part or 3-part story?
I'm a end it. That one there will be the last part. Um, because that's where it's going to end, where my relationship ended
Hmm.
with the marriage. So it's not going to be anything beyond. Um, well, what is Michelle doing now? Now that she's split, now that she is divorced, what is there to do? I just want, when that chapter ends and that book closes, I want you to feel that's how it was for me in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, I just what a world that I only know a little bit on the surface of. Long-term listeners of Global Book Network knows that sometimes I work alongside the military as a civilian with the Air Force, and there is a inside access of being on the base and seeing how things work. But like the actual interpersonal things are just so fascinating for me. So just as kind of was cool to learn about that, and it does seem like a very deep rabbit hole. The more I went through the chapters of this book, and no regrets. And I'm so glad you did share your story, because you could have been like, this happened to me and that's it. But now there's a chance to share with others. If someone were to pick up the book now this week or whenever they have an inkling to, what do you expect them to pull from the pages of Diary of an Army Wife?
I want them to see themselves in Michelle or any of the other characters that are in the book. I want them to feel the authenticity that I wrote in it, I want them to feel like it was not a rush project. Um, and I just want them to, well, above all, enjoy it and give their feedback.
Yeah.
I welcome the feedback. Let me know. I can, add some stuff in another book that I will be working on. But yeah, I just want them to be able to see themselves in the book.
Yeah, well, and as you mentioned that, if someone's watching this edition of Global Book Network right now, as you wind this down, they want to connect with you or learn more about you as a writer, how they go about doing that, how can they get in touch with you?
Now they can go to my website, www.legacycounseling2020.com. You'll see my other book that's on there. You'll also see, hey, if you need any mental health services, you can also schedule something. Um, uh, and if they want to get the book, they can also go on Amazon. It's on Amazon as well.
Absolutely. And Brenda, thank you so much for being on the show. This is Global Book Network. Just being able to sit and chat with like the seeing the process of this book has been a lot of fun.